Can't they invest in like growing plants? Because
It's
then
harder
the
'cause
plants
the
give them
sun-
oxygen.
The sun.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the one of the key components of actually growing anything, the friggin' sunlight.
Yeah.
Reactions, intro, reactions. We are back again with another unorthodox reaction.
I don't know what he was doing there, guys. But
Your mic's not broken, don't worry. I just wanted to see if I could nail that. We will listen back to it and see if it actually sounded good.
It
But
did not sound good.
it's just it did. Don't lie.
This is my item of the day. Packet of Haribo's, you know. We all love it.
He's just getting lazier and lazier with it. So it's
I'm-
just better to just do what I did and
Give up.
participate and actually put in effort.
What? You gave up completely, mate.
You gave up? Gave a lot.
I'm the one who's putting in effort.
Have you not been seeing the amazing items that I've been presenting in videos?
Thank you for
Anyway,
checking out
guys,
us.
today we have for you infographic show video, and it is what if. Bear with me here. Bear with me. What if
Go on.
you had to pay for oxygen?
Ooh.
The one, oxygen, the one that you breathe. Yeah, what if you had to pay for it?
All right, then it's not your show.
It'll be like petrol, but way more
No one would breathe.
way more expensive.
I would have gave up.
Like imagine if the government's like, all right, we want to make money, so they polluted the air, and then they just sell like
Need
oxygen tanks. Yeah, and then they're like, yeah, you guys gonna have to buy oxygen tanks if you want to breathe.
Hell no, man. Hell no.
So why you just die?
Yeah,
or just
man.
make
You
your
gotta
own.
give up.
How do they make oxygen tanks?
Dude, I have no idea. Let's play the video.
We might need to watch a video now. That actually sounds like
I think it's not that creative in the sense you're thinking, but yeah.
I'm
Oxygen,
just thinking
what's
they
oxygen?
just, open a tank and just close it
Yeah.
and then put a tube in it.
Yeah. And suck out all the carbon. out of it.
Without further ado, let's get right into it.
You're one of the lucky ones. You're old enough to remember blue skies and puffy white clouds, the feel of a soft breeze on your skin, and the crispness of
Why you
fresh mountain
assume
air.
this?
But Impact Day changed all that forever. It arrived unexpectedly, flying into our solar system from somewhere far out in interstellar space. A rogue comet likely ejected out of its own solar system and wandering the galaxy for millions of years until the passage of a nearby star gave it just enough of a tug to send it flying in a new direction, straight on an intercept course with
Oxygen
our
tanks are
solar
expensive
system.
to make.
The comet flew in on a highly elliptical trajectory, similar to 2017's discovery of Oumuamua, the first interstellar object
Is
ever
this something
discovered
that
by
actually
humanity.
happened?
Few of
No
them
idea.
knew
No,
that
they're
it was
just
an
making
omen
up.
of something worse to come.
I think they're just
When
making up
object
how
Zeta, as it came to
we
be
would all
called by
lose
the media,
oxygen and
entered
have
our
to pay
solar
for it.
system. We had the bad luck of it flying toward Earth from behind the sun, blinding us to the danger. As it swung around the sun, it finally became visible to our telescopes on Earth, but it would still take months to spot the threat. By the time it passed out of the orbit of Venus, it was too late to even think of a planetary survival strategy. Less than 4 months later, Object Zeta made impact somewhere in Southeast Asia, wiping out millions of people upon its initial impact. The massive tsunamis that followed the impact event reached heights of over 100 feet tall, drowning the coasts of Australia, Japan, Taiwan, Hawaii, and the West Coast. Water reached up to neck deep all the way to the famous Hollywood Walk of Fame. Millions more died in the flooding. But the worst was yet to come. On land, Object Zeta's impact created forest fires that raged for months.
What? I don't understand what this has to do with the topic.
they get into basically.
This is a long ass intro to get into the topic, but I want to understand
basically
what would
explaining
happen if you had to pay for
Yeah,
oxygen.
exactly. They're explaining how we would lose oxygen in order for us to start paying for
So
oxygen.
this isn't a true story, because I'm like, it doesn't sound true, and I'm like, I feel like I would have heard of it if it did.
Of course not.
Okay, then I just needed the confirmation.
Freaking out.
Proceed.
Completely out of control. Debris from the impact started new fires all the way in southern Russia and as far west as Pakistan. Global trade collapsed overnight. Nations left to fend for themselves with.
And I'm just saying, he could have just simplified this by just saying every country's nuclear bomb goes off or something. I don't know.
Dude, it's not oversimplified.
I'm saying he could have
The
oversimplified it.
it's
This is the
infographic.
infographic show.
No organized effort to stop the
Infographic.
massive blazes. The Earth burned for 3 months before all the fires finally smoldered out. Asia was an uninhabitable wasteland. The massive jungles and deep forests that were spared deforestation were now nothing but ash, putting incalculable trillions upon trillions of tons of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur oxides, and nitrogen oxides into the atmosphere. The real damage came from the debris cloud, which choked off the sun's rays for a year and a half before finally clearing. But when the sun finally dawned on the Earth again, it was barely visible from all the smog still clogging the atmosphere. It was at least enough for photosynthesis, but it was too late by then. The only plants to have survived grew in the few labs and artificial farms set up to weather the nuclear winter-like conditions. The sprawling forests of North America were now nothing but dry tinder, and perfect fuel for fires started by random electrical storms. Fire ruled the world until there simply wasn't much left to burn anymore, and humanity moved into their domed habitats, living off lab-grown plants and breathing recycled air, artificial air, if you could afford it. Despite having been 20 years since Impact Day, things haven't improved much for you. Your bubble city is a bit bigger than it used to be, which is good news in a way. Maybe humanity can bounce back, eventually. You know there's other bubble cities out there because you've driven to them. You're one of the few brave or foolish enough to drive convoys between bubble cities, trading in vital supplies and sharing new discoveries that can help humanity survive on the knife's edge it finds itself on.
So do you get it?
Your truck is specially designed for the
Do you
task.
get it?
It features puncture-proof.
Yeah, what?
What's happening?
No, I'm falling asleep, bro.
Dude, how
I
do you
understand
not get
what
this?
he's trying to do, but I'm like, you could have just started this video by saying, imagine if you had to pay for oxygen and just go into the topic.
This is the topic.
How?
He's already mentioned, what's it called? That you only have oxygen if you can afford it. And they had small cities, well, like domed off basically.
I don't like how indirect it is. It's very annoying.
Okay, let's watch a couple more minutes. If you don't like it, we'll end it.
Wheels
Sir.
and a snowplow-like shovel at the front that can be lowered in place to push through obstacles you might encounter on the old, shattered roads of the former American Midwest. The most important feature of your truck, though, is the cab. It's been environmentally sealed to keep you alive. There's oxygen in the outside world, but breathing it for more than a few minutes will kill you.
Oh,
The impact event set off an environmental disaster of unprecedented scale. Though it'd be unfair to blame it all on the comet, humanity was putting plenty of chemicals into its own atmosphere for centuries, and the thousands of cities that burned to ash after the impact were all made of highly toxic substances. When they went up in smoke, they injected a witch's brew of toxins into the atmosphere, where they've lingered for decades. You've heard scientists talk about one day the atmosphere clearing up enough to breathe outside, but it won't be for decades yet. For now, you have to make do with canned air inside your environmentally sealed cab as you plow through the remains of a former American superpower. You enter your truck for another routine run to Habitat Joy, the nearest dome city to have survived until today. Most of the dome cities that sprung up as the atmosphere became increasingly lethal never made it past a few years. Poor social planning or lack of renewable resources led to their inevitable collapse. You hear that Joy is possibly on this growing list of failed human outposts. The news isn't good. There's social unrest as food and clean air shortages mount. Plus, there's rumors they're having power problems. You're carrying a truckload of air filters and pumps badly needed by Joy if it's gonna make it another year. In a former lifetime, this would be one innocuous load out of the millions traveling the
I could
American highway
explode.
system at any given time.
Imagine
Today, your
if it
cargo
could.
is more precious than gold or platinum. You've heard rumors of bandits who attack
So
trucks
crazy.
traveling the lonely post-apocalyptic roads while breathing
Of
masked
course
air.
there would be
Supposedly,
bandits.
they retreat back to caves or the ruins of office buildings that they've hermetically sealed off, living on plundered scraps and what they can salvage from the old world. You've even heard they eat each other or their victims.
Yeah, no,
That's all
both.
nonsense, though. Life in Habitat City is barely survivable as is. Nobody can make it out there. Your truck is fueled up and you're glad you don't have to pay the massive bill
That's
yourself.
what you think.
Gasoline is as precious as a commodity as clean air. However, you're responsible for the bill to fill your truck's oxygen tanks and swap out the air purifiers.
That's a
Here,
terrible
the oxygen
business.
used to just cost pennies per cubic foot. Now it costs you $500 just to fill your truck's tanks for 3 days there and 3 days back. That's more expensive than your daily oxygen bill at your apartment, though. When you're home, your daily oxygen bill is around $12 a day.
It's
Like
not
your
gonna be that
apartment,
cheap.
yours is
There's no
hermetically
way it will be
sealed,
that
with an
cheap.
airlock between home and the outside world. While you can breathe outside your home inside the dome, for which the government charges you a flat $3 a day tax for, each apartment is sealed with an airlock in case of catastrophic failure of the dome itself from a natural disaster or bad maintenance. All it would
so
Does that
you
mean
get
people
charged
have to like
$3
stock up on
for
oxygen?
yeah, no,
Yeah, you get charged $3 for stepping out your house.
I know, and breathing,
Bro, I'll be rich because I'm
breathing.
never stepping out my house anyway.
and breathing, you know, that's crazy.
But I imagine this would be kind of like you've watched the movie In Time in it with Justin Timberlake. Have you not? The one where they have like the time on their hands.
Oh, where they have to trade time. And it's
Time.
like money.
Yeah, like time is like
Yeah,
currency. You know, I
yeah.
imagine the kind of
And
this
then
would
he
be
gets
similar to
bare
that.
time, and his mum died.
Yeah, and oh, that was like a sad moment. Though he gets bare time, and he was almost gonna give her
it to her.
time, but he
Yeah,
was
but
like,
why couldn't he give it to her even
it's
though
because
she
the
ran
bus.
out?
It's because the bus driver didn't. Because he was waiting for her at the bus stop where she was supposed to meet him, but the
Yeah.
bus driver didn't let her get on because she didn't have enough time to pay for the fare.
Yeah, and
So
the
then
bus journey would
then she
take
had
longer.
to run there.
The bus journey would take longer than the amount of time she would have had left.
No,
Yeah, it was
oh,
something like that.
no,
Yeah.
no, the bus journey would have made it because the bus made it to the stop. That's how he knew that she wasn't on the bus.
Oh,
And then
okay,
he was like, "Oh snap! Like she's gonna be walking to
it
get
was
to me."
too much time to spend.
It was too much time to spend because if she spent it, then she wouldn't have survived the bus
Yeah,
journey
that's what I'm
anyway.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so she had to walk. And then when the bus got there, he was like, "Oh snap! She doesn't have much time left, and I have to like go give it to her." And then he sees her in the distance, and they're running,
He's
and she
slow
literally
as
timed
hell.
out and just landed in his hand.
He's
I was
slow
like,
as hell.
"Ah."
Why couldn't he give her time?
I'm like, bro,
after she
I bet
timed
you
out?
wish you were
Yeah. Why couldn't he give her time after she timed out?
because she's dead. You can't give someone back time. You can give someone time, but you can't give them back time once they run out, I
I
think.
don't know.
Otherwise, you're just going to be reviving people left and right.
Yeah, man. Rich people.
Would take is one cracked panel in the honeycomb construction above your head to poison and suffocate the population of 20,000 who live under it.
Dang.
The second reason for the airlock, though, is to keep your oxygen costs under control. Sensors inside your apartment measure how much oxygen you breathe each day. And the last thing you want is a leaky window or a door letting precious oxygen flow out. That's literally money flying straight out the door.
Duct tape.
With such steep rates for breathable home oxygen, it's no surprise then that few people choose to be particularly athletic anymore.
I was going to say,
Let
ain't no
extra exertion is a
exercising,
good way
bro.
to skyrocket your oxygen bill. As your truck is filled up,
Everyone's
you make sure to pay
fat.
extra to have your emergency
Literally.
canned air
No,
refilled.
it's too much to
You
be
keep
fat.
several
So you
canisters
start
of
breathing
compressed
a lot
breathable
more.
air for emergencies, along with the gas mask that they fit into. It's very uncomfortable, but in the case of a catastrophic leak, it'll save your life. It also would be
I mean, I'm imagining would food be scarce? I mean, if they survive more than like the first couple of
he
years,
said that already.
maybe.
He said that already.
Yeah, but I'm imagining the longer they survive, the less food gets scarce because
Yeah.
then they start growing. So then, if they start growing, can't they invest in like growing plants? Because
It's
then
harder
the
'cause
plants
the
give them
sun-
oxygen.
The sun.
Oh yeah, I forgot about one of the key components of actually growing anything, the friggin' sunlight.
Yeah.
If they maybe if they find like those portable
Artificial
UV rays and stuff,
Oh, yeah, maybe.
and like make like an artificial sun. But
Yeah, maybe.
yeah,
be good in case you actually need to exit the truck for some reason, but don't relish the thought. Doing so means losing several cubic feet of precious air. Finally, ready to roll, your truck is towed to the massive exterior airlock. The towing vehicle is all electric, of course, no room for wasting precious breathable air with an internal combustion engine inside the dome. Your truck would be electric too, except that the thick, sooty clouds that still crowd
Elon
most of the
Musk is
sky make
paying.
recharging on long trips very dicey probability. You'd probably run out of air and asphyxiate long before you finally got a full charge. Plus, the powerful diesel engine is exactly what you need to power several tons through difficult roads that survived the years of neglect and natural disasters after impact day. Your truck's in place in the airlock, and the giant steel doors close behind you. You catch one last glimpse of home, a massive domed city that houses 20,000 of humanity's survivors, lit by rows and rows of LED lights, meant to simulate a sunny day and help people fight off depression. Massive pumps suck most of the air out of the room, trying to recover as much of the oxygen as possible before the exterior doors open. They don't pump to a full vacuum, though. That would do nasty things to your truck. You sit in the darkness listening to the pumps work for a minute before they all finally fall silent. Suddenly, the doors in front of you begin to open, sending a shaft of light into the darkness of your airlock. There's a rush as air fills the near vacuum inside, but you don't hear it until it's almost over. Just like you don't hear the 5-ton doors opening as anything louder than a slight hum. With little air in the airlock, you feel the vibrations of the doors opening more than you actually hear them. It's not until the outside air has filled your airlock with toxic atmosphere that you can hear outside noises again. Now with the doors fully open, you bring the truck to life. It coughs and sputters at first due to old age, but eventually comes to life. The massive diesel engine doesn't care about toxic
He's
air.
probably
It only
speaking
cares
in
that there's a high
detail
enough
about it,
concentration
like
of
detail
oxygen
for
to fuel
detail.
combustion, of which there is. You've also heard scientists say there's plenty of oxygen in the atmosphere. In fact, it's where they get most of the dome's air from. Even with the death of all planet life on Earth, it'll take thousands of years for the accumulated oxygen to be used up or broken down by the sun's rays. The biggest problem is that it's simply not breathable for longer than a few minutes before you're choking to death on the various poisons that accompany it in the atmosphere. There's rumors that there's breathable air down in Australia, but that's just idle, stupid talk. Most of Australia got drowned in the tsunami after the impact, and the rest
How would
all
you get
burned to
there?
death. There's nowhere
How would you get to Australia? You can't take plane.
Oxygen, bro. I feel
Let me
like I would
play.
expect Australia to be one of the first to go, because if they have to be domed up, that means they have to be domed up with all those. I mean, to be fair, all the animals probably dead by now,
Yeah, no,
because those are where like the most dangerous animals are
fires,
living anyway.
everything. They're
Yeah, they might survive. You know.
You're a joke, man.
left
said
on this
oxygen.
planet a human being can step outside and take a breath of safe, clean air. Not even on the highest mountain peaks. With the engine rumbling to life, you put the big truck into drive and pull out into the wasteland. Your dome city is built on the ruins of a former Los Angeles, over the hill, as they used to say, out in the San Fernando Valley,
Wow,
which
look at
avoided
that.
most of the devastation. It's an unlikely place to survive, given the lack of access to things like local drinking water supplies, but the ocean is now 10 miles closer than it used to be, and a few miles of pipe bridge the distance between it and the dome city. A desalination plant works to create safe drinking water. It's
gonna
energy
keep going?
intensive, but the nuclear reactor built by the former American government in the years after impact
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I feel like this is just like a full story of
Yeah,
what would happen,
like
and we don't want to bore
if
you
you
guys
want to
with
know
the-
more,
yeah,
then go
let
watch the
us know,
video.
or
It'll be
comment.
in the link below.
Yeah,
but
or
we
comment.
are gonna stop it here. We're
Right
gonna
here.
watch this afterwards, off camera. 'Cause
Yeah, because
reaction wise, I feel
quite
like
interesting.
we're not really saying much. So,
Anyways,
I don't know
guys,
what
this has been
to do,
Unorthodox
guys.
Reactions. Thank you for
Wait,
checking in with us.
before
What were
we
you gonna say?
do outro, I was gonna say this. I don't remind me of. Didn't we watch like a reaction of a movie that did this concept of there's no like you can't breathe outside, but then there was like remember the movie where the woman was living on a farm on one of the only places that you can breathe, and then the guy comes and they were living together, and it was the guy that was jealous,
Oh,
and
it
then
was
the second guy
It
comes.
was on Mars.
No, it wasn't on Mars.
Yeah, it was.
No.
Yeah, and then the guy kills the woman and then keeps the daughter and has.
No,
the
not
daughter.
that one. The one where the guy kills the second guy because he fell in love with the woman, and then the woman was like, "Oh, where did the guy go?" And it's like, "Oh, he went on a journey or something,"
Yeah.
and then that's how it ended. Did you not? Did we not? Maybe I think it might have been one of. I don't know if he posted the video. It might be one of the videos that was messing up, and we couldn't.
I don't know. I don't remember.
But I remember it was like one of the movie recap videos.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe.
Ah. Anyway, guys, we hope you enjoyed.
Reactions. Thank
Like,
you for checking in with us.
Comment,
Exactly.
subscribe, notification bell, all the
Let
good
us
stuff.
know.
Comment, reactions, suggestions
Exactly.
below, and we shall see you all
In the next one.
in a bit.
Peace.